lovelies, it's Sarcasm the Sickness, and welcome back to Skill Link. I'm actually trying to, bulk record these, so hopefully I'll have a couple for a few days here. So before we dive into today's topic, if you look to your background, I guess, if you look to the center of your screen, hopefully you haven't clicked away yet. If you have, then, it's whatever, I guess. It's no big deal, but, this is a commission that I did for Lucky Lad TV. His link will be in the description below as usual. Links, I think Twitter will be there as well. Links will be in the description below. If you wonder what Lucky Lad TV is, he does a lot of Pokemon stuff. Right now, one of the biggest things he's doing is Pokemon Showdown stuff and some team building series. He does series with, he does a lot of stuff with other Poketubers, like interviews and things like that. So definitely go check him out. And yeah. There's that. And look, I can draw people, so that's cool. Anyway, today we are going to talk about, or we're gonna touch on a topic that somebody that was given to me on my Twitter, Curse Bennett, thank you. And we are going to talk. Curse Bennett says, could you talk about responsibility and independence and how you dealt with gaining more, from childhood to adulthood? This is an interesting topic. I feel like I don't have enough to say about it, but I'm gonna try, I guess. I guess for me, when I was born first in my family of 3 kids, alright? So I'm the oldest and I have 2 younger sisters. So basically the instant that my middle sister was born, who, originally obviously was my youngest, that became a responsibility of me. I gained responsibility inherently just because I was the older sister. So I suppose that's something of a benefit for me. It basically means that, as I'm growing, I already have some responsibilities. It's not like I suddenly hit 18 and it's like, oh, all of a sudden you have to do all of these things on your own and nobody's going to be here to help you. Like, whoa, what happened? It's like, no, okay. I'm the oldest child, and, because my parents had 2 younger kids to contend with, one of them being 10 years younger than me, so, I'm 10, and, my baby sister is being born, it's like, it's a big gap, it's a pretty big gap, so, they're expecting the 10-year-old to be able to handle herself a little bit, they're expecting the 10-year-old to be able to clean their own room, and do chores and not complain about it. Of course, I honestly didn't handle that so well, I really didn't, and I guess to this day, I don't necessarily handle that as well. I always feel like I have so much more important things to do than chores and, cleaning and things like that, which is pretty awful, but I keep trying to work through it, I guess. I just haven't really gotten too far yet, but yeah, so I gained responsibility naturally through becoming an older sister twice. It got to thing. It was things like having to handle things on my own a little bit more, and having to handle my sisters sometimes. Like, okay, can you watch her? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you make sure she doesn't hurt herself? Make sure she doesn't chew on this. Make sure she doesn't draw on the wall with crayons. Which, when you're a little kid, I guess I guess if you're thinking about it as an adult, that's not really that much responsibility, I guess. But if you're thinking about it as a kid, that's pretty big. It's like, I get to tell her what to do, But I guess through my childhood, that was kind of really it. I grew up in, kind of like a middle-class family. Like, we were okay. We were okay, we were okay enough for my parents to make Christmas an event, to make sure that I, had the video game systems to actually get into video gaming in the first place. I didn't really, I guess, I didn't have to get a job when I was a teenager, but I did because they asked me to. It wasn't necessarily like if you don't get this job, we're literally going to lose this house, we were okay. We were okay. So there wasn't a lot of responsibility for me to take in that respect, because I know nowadays that there are, increasingly so nowadays, there are kids who have to go to high school and work to support their mother, or their single mother or single father, or their siblings or whatever. They have to take on this insane amount of responsibility that a 16-year-old probably shouldn't have to. I mean, granted, I'm saying this from a from a place of privilege. I'm saying this from a place of, well, I didn't have to do it, so why should anybody else do it? But I do feel like it's important for a kid to be able to grow up and a kid to be able to enjoy being a kid for a little bit longer than, you know, like, oh, you're old enough to legally work, there you go, now you're an adult, get out, you know, go out there and, you know, go deal with the stresses of job applications and the stresses of, you know, being mistreated by your boss and, like, and sexual harassment from your coworkers and all that stuff. It's like, it's not something that I want any kid to go through. It's really not. It's the working world is scary, dude. It really is. But I never had to go through that. And the time, like, when I did get a job, it wasn't even that. It wasn't a traditional job like you would think. Like, I didn't start off working at McDonald's or Burger King or Taco Bell, although I did work at both McDonald's and Taco Bell eventually, sadly, and to my great discomfort. But my first job was I was part of the summer program, and I've talked about it before in previous skillings. I was part of the summer program that revolved around information technology and just generally like tech stuff and computer stuff. But they needed a t-shirt done for the summer, like for the end of the summer program. They would have everything printed and like given out to everybody for free. And they had seen me drawing. Like, I draw all the time. I always had a notebook with me. I still always have a notebook with me. So they noticed me and were like, hey, you know, it'd be really cool to have, you know, a student in the program actually design the t-shirt. And I was like, I can do that. And they're like, we will pay you. And I can very do that then, you know, like it was really cool for me to have that as my first job. But like, it wasn't that heavy on responsibility. What I had to do was come up with a few sketches, come up with a few ideas, and I mean, I guess it was kind of responsibility because I had to make sure that I actually did these things. I had to actually go and create these things. It was basically job training for what I do now, essentially. I had to create these ideas and present them in front of a group, in front of a group of people who actually run the program. So it was a bunch of adults, and I had to present it to them, and yeah, that was a little scary, but at the same time, it's not the same as having to go into work every day at the same time and do the same damn thing over and over and over again. You come in, you go to the cash register, you know, take orders for 5 hours, get a break, you know, like it wasn't the same because I got to decide my own hours and I got to decide, you know, when I would do this, when I would do that. It was different. It was very different. Although, like I said, I can't say that that's not responsibility at all because I could have completely flaked on it. I could have easily taken no responsibility and just been like, oh, well, I forgot to do it. I'm sorry. I guess you'll probably have to go find somebody else to design the t-shirt, you know? So it was responsibility, but it's a little less intensive than having to go into work every day like some kids do. I guess as a kid, the biggest responsibilities I really had were just taking care of my own homework, and I did poorly at that. I either would skip homework because I just didn't care about the class or didn't care about the homework, or, you know, I don't know, like the teacher, I didn't care about the teacher, just, I wasn't very good. And then sometimes, even if I did finish the homework, for whatever reason, it just wouldn't make it to my teacher. I honestly don't even remember why some of these papers and things just didn't make it to my teacher on time. Like, I don't know if I forgot to print it out sometimes or what, but, like, I was really bad at it. I was honestly so bad. But the teachers knew that I was bright, and they kept telling me, like, you are smart, but you're disappointing because you're really frustrating because you just keep, you know, flaking on stuff that you need to care about. Like, you have the intelligence, you can handle this, you just don't do it. And so, I guess in that aspect, I was really bad at handling responsibility. I was really bad at handling things that I was supposed to do. It's supposed to be able to handle. Like, I had a job for the summer, and that was it. Like, I should be able to handle doing homework, you know, like during the school year. But yeah, I mean, I can say for myself that I really buckled down. I really buckled down during the junior year. Yeah, the summer before my junior year, I really, like I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and I really, we had this big summer project regarding, was it the Scarlet Letter? Yes, it was the Scarlet Letter. We had to read the book, and we had to do this big old project on it. and I did it, and I did it really, really well. And then I found out when I got to school that I was actually only supposed to do like they gave us a sheet of paper with like 10 different projects on it, or whatever, or like not 10, like maybe like 6 or whatever. And I did all 6, and I didn't realize that you were only supposed to pick 2. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was something. And I really buckled down my senior year, and I did really well there. And I guess something I can say for myself, to my own credit, is that starting my 10th grade year, I was doing marching band. So I was handling marching band along with school. But like I said, I wasn't handling school very well up until like junior year. And senior year, I did do okay. I really did okay during senior year. And I guess the other part of it is 10th grade, or not, yeah, no, starting in 10th grade, because there wasn't really like when I joined the marching band, there wasn't really a pit percussion section that existed yet. So I was the first one to be in the pit percussion, and my band director had personally trained me, on the keyboards and stuff. So because I had that hands-on training with him, I was the section leader. So being the section leader, I made a lot of decisions regarding what we would do if we needed extra practice, things like that, or how we would handle things if we didn't know like how to play a certain part. Like, okay, we'll improvise, we'll do it this way, we'll do it that way, whatever. I handled all that, and honestly, I liked that. I do like being in charge. I honestly really like being able to tell people what to do, and and not really be questioned as much on it, I guess. Not that I don't like when people question things, but I guess from a point of like talking, when you're trying to talk to somebody else who is in charge, and you're trying to get your point across to them, and they refuse to listen, that's so frustrating. Like, that's scared. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. And I guess I feel that for myself, I do listen when people make suggestions when I'm in charge, and so I I prefer being in a position of power because of that, because I feel like I can still be in charge but be a fair ruler and be in a position to actually listen to the people who are underneath me, I suppose. So I liked it a lot. I really liked being the section leader, and eventually I went on to become the treasurer, I believe, of the marching band. Not that it was kind of an empty title because I didn't really have to sign anything or do anything like that, but what it did do is it gave me a chance to be part of there was a main 4 administrative student staff for the marching band, and I was part of that, and we got to make big decisions amongst ourselves, so that was kind of cool. But it was all safe. Everything that I've mentioned so far, as far as responsibility goes, is safe. If I screw up, with my sisters, then my parents will just say, or, people will just say, like, well, the parents should have been involved. The parents should have been there for this, or, well, I'm sorry, I didn't, or, if my parents were out too long and, something happened, it's like, well, I'm sorry, we should have been home sooner. If I mess up with this job, at 16 or 17 during the summer, it's like, well, I mean, she's still just a kid, and she, it was a lot to put on her, and it was really scary to have her up in front of a bunch of adults. How could we ask that of her? She wasn't ready. And if I mess up in the marching band, it's like, oh, well, I mean, the band director's at fault. He's the one who put her in charge. He didn't, he should have known that she wouldn't be ready for it yet. So when I left for college, and everything is on me, I floundered, honestly. That's the biggest responsibility and independence combination that I ever had to deal with, was leaving home, going to college, and having to actually force myself to get up and go to class, force myself to get up and go to class and do the homework in that class, or pay attention in that class and do notes in that class. And I floundered. I absolutely I could not handle it. I did not know what to do. And for me, I feel like it was a mix of a bunch of things. It's one of the things is that at the time I had a boyfriend, but he was still living back at home, back in my hometown, and I was like 45 minutes away. So it's not like I couldn't have gone to visit him more, but I didn't have a car, he didn't have a car, so we basically never saw each other. It was basically all internet interaction and stuff like that. And that also meant that if my parents came up to get me for the weekend, I would have to decide between staying with them or staying with him. And so that was weird. And not only, was I missing this boyfriend while I was away at college, I was missing my family too. It felt so weird to not be able to, walk downstairs, see my mom, and just get a hug if I wanted. It was so bizarre for me. I could not handle it. And of course, at this time, I was also dealing with depression pretty badly. There were times that I specifically went up to I went up to the top of the bleachers one day at the football stadium, and the football stadium was kind of on a bit of a hill, so the bleachers overlooked this hill and were on the top of this hill, so it was really far down, it was a lot further down than the bleachers would have made it seem like, I guess. And I would stand there and I thought about jumping, and I mean, granted, it probably wasn't high enough to kill me, and that's part of the reason I didn't do it. I was like, I'll probably just break my legs and be miserable for a while, there's no reason to put myself through that, so I just walked back down. But so there was a lot of stuff that went into me not being able to handle these responsibilities and independence while I was at college. But all these excuses aside, it still means that I wasn't able to do it. It still means that I wasn't able to accomplish it. And to be honest, it's something I still regret, a lot. It's definitely something that hurts me, and I feel awful about it. The only reason I stayed at college as long as I did, which was only, one semester, I didn't even finish out the semester. The only reason I stayed as long as I did is because I was in the marching band, and I enjoyed the marching band so much that I did not want to leave. But basically the day that marching band ended was the day that I called one of my friends and asked him to come pick me up. And that's the kicker too. I called my friend to tell him to pick me up. I didn't call my parents. I called my friend and didn't talk to my parents for 2 weeks. And I could not handle them being disappointed in me and being upset with me and being angry with me. And I just couldn't deal. I honestly could not deal. And I feel like even to this day, I really don't deal with responsibility and independence that much. I feel like I still have a lot of growing to do. And honestly, a lot of the biggest reason is I get really anxious. Now, I don't know if I suffer from clinical anxiety, if I'm actually, if I could actually be clinically diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, but I do know that I have a lot of fears, and I have a lot of... making decisions frightens the crap out of me. It's really hard for me to decide on something that's gonna be, a big choice, a big life-changing decision. I can't do it. Granted, life-changing decisions should never be taken lightly, but I literally cannot do it. The biggest life-changing decision that I've actually made was the decision to start YouTube, and that's... I don't know, that does not feel like an accomplishment. That doesn't feel like something I should be proud of. Congratulations, you decided to upload videos where everybody uploads videos. You're so great, good job. And it's just I don't know. I mean, I guess I can be proud that I've actually stuck with it as long as I have and had those times where I was really consistent, but it only means that right now when I'm not being as consistent that I just feel that much worse about myself. I don't know. But after college and after this boyfriend broke up with me inevitably and I moved back home and, at that point it was, responsibility with jobs, which some of them I did okay with, some of them I didn't. Some of them I did really okay with. There was one year where I worked at GameStop and Famous Footwear in at two different malls. And I was able to handle both these jobs very well. I actually really juggled my schedule very, very well. And I was proud of myself for that. I really was. But then there were times where I worked at this restaurant and there were just days where I just did not want to come in. And I for whatever reason, I was just so depressed that I just could not come in and I would call off sick. And that was messed up, and I messed up, and I felt really disappointed in myself for it, which would only, of course, help my depression, so, you know, there's that. So for me, responsibility and independence is such a weird topic for me because I don't feel like I'm a shining example of dealing with responsibility or being independent. I have such a hard time, like, taking on responsibilities. There are times where I have a really bad habit, honestly, of telling people I'm gonna do something and then not doing it. I have a really bad habit of forming friendships and then just dropping off all of a sudden and just not talking to them, or talking very rarely, despite the fact that I know they actually do want to talk to me and don't actually hate me. You know, I don't know why I do these things, and I've been trying to figure it out, and I just don't know. I have a really hard time managing things like that. I have a really hard time managing, like, schedules, keeping organized, and if I can get organized, I can usually stay that way for like a month or so, but then I slip back, and then I don't know how to fix it, and it's alarming. It's honestly alarming that I'm almost 23 and I still don't know how to make a schedule for myself. It's just really bizarre, and I don't know, it's a hard topic for me to talk about because I don't feel like I should be able to talk about it. I don't feel like I should talk about it with you guys. I don't feel like I'm not the person to give you advice about this kind of stuff because I failed. And then, you know what though? I guess that's something. I guess if for whatever reason you are a fan of mine and you actually like listening to my videos and you actually like being here and seeing my art and seeing what I'm going to say or do next, then knowing that I'm really crappy at responsibility may make you feel better. It may make you feel like, hey, you know, she sucks at doing stuff, but she still does stuff sometimes, so I can do stuff sometimes too. Like, you know what, we can form a club where we do stuff sometimes. You know, I honestly need, I feel like I need a support group. I feel like I need a support group where we just go places sometimes. I just need a support group when it's like, okay guys, we voted on it last week. We decided last week that today we're going to go to the grocery store together and we're going to buy things so that we can eat for the rest of this week, okay? Let's go. You know, like, just there's a support group where we all just get daily tasks done together and don't feel so bad because we're all doing it together. It's like so ridiculous. But so I don't know, if this is any comfort to you, then that's great, and I'm glad I was able to do that for you. But I don't know, you feel free to be disappointed in me. Feel free to be disappointed in my ass. Like, honestly, I'm so bad at keeping myself together and keeping things going, I guess. Even, I mean, especially right now, you can tell with the channel, I've been having a really hard time with it, and I'm not proud of that. It makes me really depressed, and the problem with being sad about something, the problem is when I slack on my responsibilities, I get depressed and I get sad. And getting sad makes me want to do nothing. If I could figure out how to get angry about it instead, if I could figure out how to get mad about like not fixing my situation, then I could actually do something about it. Like, fueling myself with anger would at least allow me to try, you know, it would at least allow me to do something. But being sad about it makes me want to do nothing. Being sad about it basically makes me want to sleep all day, and I don't know why I can't feel angry about that kind of stuff because it's so stupid. I know, and this is kind of off topic at this point, but when I was taking antidepressant pills, I was literally incapable of feeling anger. I was pretty much literally incapable of feeling anger. I would feel sad all the time still. Like, the pills didn't make me feel less sad. They just dulled everything. When I felt happy, it was just kind of like, it was just kind of happy. And when I felt sad, it was just kind of sad. And when I was like it. Like, if I was afraid, it was like I was kind of upset, you know, kind of afraid. But it completely erased anger from my personality, and that was very strange, and it was very frightening when I figured it out finally. Like, because my dad mentioned it to me. He's like, why are you not mad about this thing? Why are you not mad about this? You should be angry. Why are you depressed? You should be mad. And I'm like, holy shit, I should be mad, you know? Like, Like, I really genuinely should be mad right now, but I only want to crawl into bed and cry. So, yeah, it's a weird topic. It really is. And I hope that this, I don't know, shed some kind of light on something, I guess. I'm sure it wasn't very helpful if you were hoping that I actually was good at handling responsibility and was going to be able to give any kind of tips or hints. I don't know what to tell you because I literally haven't figured this out myself. Like, if this was a if this was a speak no evil question, I probably wouldn't even be able to answer it. I don't know. I don't know how to handle responsibility. Like, I could write a schedule. We could write schedules. We could write schedules all day, but does that make us following them? It really doesn't. We could write up, a list of things that we're supposed to do today, but does that make us do them? No. Like, we could try all these things. We could write up all these things. We could follow all of these instructions, but still not feel motivated to do stuff. And or still feel fear and still feel too afraid to do anything, still feel too anxious. And I feel like that's something that a lot of us suffer from nowadays. A lot of us suffer from some form of anxiety, whether it's social anxiety and not wanting to go outside. Like, people are just scary sometimes, dude. And if it's anxiety regarding like responsibilities, whether it's anxiety regarding, I don't know, like making big decisions. It's just, I feel like a lot of us from this generation, I suppose, from us born in, late 80s, early 90s, 2000s, whatever, we're in a weird place mentally. We're really afraid to do things, and it gets so hard to do things. And I know a lot of it is that we know that even if we try to do things, it's not gonna work. I can fill out 20 job applications and get no responses. I could fill out 100 job applications and get 2 responses, and they still won't hire me or call me in for an interview, Like, it's scary, you can take the responsibility and go to college and still not get a job and just be in debt. And that scares the crap out of a lot of us in this day and age. And then adults look at us weird, like, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And it's like, Mom, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I try, so why put myself up for that disappointment? Why put myself out there only to be kicked down and kicked while I'm down? Like, not only do you get knocked on your back, but then something else comes up to kick you in the gut and remind you to stay on the ground. So, responsibility is not a strong suit of mine, and responsibility is not a strong suit of a lot of us, and there is a good reason why. Mental illness is up. We suffer from a lot of stuff in our heads. We get way too into our heads. Anyway, this has probably been going on way too long, and honestly I could rant about how it's not our fault for centuries. Not that it's not partially our fault, and not that we couldn't try to do something about it. I just don't know what to do. Anyway, thank you for joining me for Skill Link. If you liked this video, if you liked what I had to talk about, if you liked the drawing, if you like pancakes, please leave a like on this video. If this is your first time watching Skill Link, then there are plenty more for you to watch. If this is your first time at my channel, please go check out my other videos and subscribe, because I really appreciate it. I really, really do. I also appreciate likes. Like I said, those are actually really important for YouTubers. It gets other people. It makes YouTube promote it more so that other people will see my stuff too. So it's a good thing. It really is a good thing. In the comment section below, I guess talk to me about how you feel about responsibility and independence. How do you deal with it? How do you handle it? Whether it be like, you can talk about how you've handled it from childhood to adulthood, you can talk about just how you're handling it right now, whatever it may be. If you have any thoughts about this, any closing thoughts, I'd like to hear it. I really would. I'd really like to read those. And beyond that, have a lovely day, guys. See ya.